Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anisha and thank you so much for joining me here today. Today I have a special video. I'm doing a mid-year reading journal flip through. I know it's already November, but I just recently completed this journal, which was my first journal of 2025. So I thought it's about time I shared it with you. I actually moved on to my new journal around June and I have been using that one since then. So this first one covers everything up to May, all my yearly pages and monthly spreads until then. The reason I'm doing this flip through a bit late is because I hadn't caught up with all the unfinished pages until recently. Usually I regularly update my monthly reading wrap-up sections, but I leave some pages blank in between for my book review spreads so I can come back and fill them in when I have time. For example, here you can see, okay, this one is for my monthly reading wrap-up for the month of June. And right after that, I have left a few pages blank before starting the next section, which is my monthly wrap-up for July. So I always leave some space like this so I can go back and add reviews later. So even though I moved on to my new journal from June onwards, this one still had a few unfinished book review pages and I finally got around to completing them recently. So now that it's all done, I'm doing a flip through. Before we get into it, just a quick note about the journal itself. This is the one I use for the first half of the year. It is from a brand called the Jotting Dots, which is the same brand I have been using for all my journals. I have to say I have been really happy with it. The journal held up pretty well. As you can see, I have glued down a lot of things inside, so it expanded quite a bit, but it still stayed in great shape. It's an A5 size dot grid journal with 160 GSM pages and a total of 160 pages. The only tiny issue I had was the bookmark. It came with 3 ribbon bookmark and they ended up coming off. As you can see here, they just detached. It happened recently, but honestly it's not a big deal. I can easily stick them back if I want to, and since I have already finished this journal, I won't be needing them anymore anyway. So overall I'm really happy with how the journal held up. Alright then, let's finally get into the flip through. So this was my cover page for the year. Here I have a quote I found on Pinterest. It says, "Turn the pages of a book and you will find yourself entangled in its dreamcatcher threads, where stories come alive and magic takes flight." And these are my yearly reading goals. This spread is actually updated up to September, so a lot of the goals are almost completed here. But I'm doing quite bad with my rereads this year. I wanted to reread 10 books, but I have only managed to do 2 so far. The rest of the goals are going fine though. I have already completed one and I think I can easily handle the others in the remaining months. Overall, I'm quite happy with my progress. I'm not very strict about my reading goals. It's just something I like to set up at the beginning of the year. My main point of reading is simply to enjoy it. I track these things on the side, and if I meet these goals, it's great. If I don't, that's also totally fine. I don't want to pressure myself or force reading just to tick these boxes. Moving on, this is my bookshelf page. This one includes books up to May because here I have only listed the books that have reviews written in this particular journal. I also colored the book spine based on my ratings. Then we have my reading goal tracker. My goal for the year was to read 80 books, and right now, as I am recording this in the middle of October, I am at 73. So I think I'll easily hit 80, maybe even 90 by the end of December. Just in case, I left a space for 90 here, and each of these boxes are colored according to the month I read the book in. Next up is my reading log. Instead of having an index, I like to keep a reading log of all the books I have read, just a simple table with a title and rating. I had two spreads for it and there is still some space left at the end, but I stopped at the last book of May. Just like with my bookshelf page, I thought it made sense to stop where my reviews in this journal end. The rest of the books are continued in my new journal. Now we have my books hauled page. These are all the books I bought this year. I deliberately gave this one a smaller space because this year I really wanted to focus on reading what I already own. And honestly, I think I did pretty well. So far, I have only bought 13 books this year, which for me is a huge achievement. And there is still plenty of room left here. So even if I buy a few more books before the end of the year, I'll still be within my limit, I guess. Also, I only list physical books here. I don't count audiobooks or ebooks here. I think it's because since they are monthly subscriptions, in my head they feel more like part of my monthly bills rather than an actual purchase. So my brain doesn't count them as book purchases. It's weird, but it makes sense to me. Next, we have my TBR tracker. I wouldn't say I'm doing amazing, but it's not bad either. I have definitely made some progress with it, and I'm planning to focus more on my TBR in the coming months. So by the end of the year, I think I'll have tackled a good portion of it. So I'm happy with how it is looking right now. Then we have my series tracker. Here I have only included interconnected series like the ones that exist in the same universe because I usually don't have trouble tracking standalone series. I used to binge read an entire series back to back, so I usually don't really lose track of them. That's why I did the tracker this way. But this year, I realized that when I binge read, all the events from the series kind of blur together in my head, and I end up remembering it as one big story instead of separate book. So I have been trying to space them out, like taking at least a month's break between two books in the same series. So for the next year, I think I'll make a proper series tracker where I can list all the ongoing series I'm reading, not just the ones in the shared universe. For now, I have listed here a few series like Shadowhunters, where I have already read The Mortal Instrument and The Infernal Devices, and still have The Dark Artifices and The Last Hours to go. Then there is The Realm of Elderlings. I haven't started this one yet, but I'm hoping to begin the Farsi trilogy maybe next month. And of course, then there is Cosmere. I started the Mistborn trilogy but haven't completed it yet. I will though, definitely by the end of this year. So that's where my series tracker stands for now. Next is my author backlist page. This isn't something I'm trying to complete within the year. It is just for me to have a reference and track my progress with some of my favorite authors. So here I have listed Agatha Christie, Khaled Hosseini, Frederick Backman, Rayleigh Sagar, Freda McFadden, V.E. Schwab, Leigh Bardugo, Claire Polley, R.F. Kuang, and Holly Jackson. I have made some progress with most of them this year, but again, it's just a long-term tracker that I'll carry forward into my next journal. And then finally, we have my favorites of 2025 page. I haven't stuck down any book covers yet, but you can see I have penciled in the names of the ones that stood out to me so far. I'm waiting until the end of the year to finish this page because I need to know how much space each book will take. So for some months I don't have a favorite, while other months I might have 2 or 3. So once I know the total number, I'll finalize the layout and stick in all the book covers. For now, I'm just noting them lightly with pencil. So these were all my yearly spreads. Now we are getting into the journal and starting with the readathon, the magical readathon. If you are not familiar with it, I will have a link in the description for the original video or any of my videos. So please check it out. This is one of my favorite things to do now. I have been following this readathon for a couple of years, but I officially started participating only this year, and I'm having a great time so far. I recently started a separate journal just for this readathon. This is what I had done before that. So this is my cover page for the Magical Readathon. Here I have the origins of my character and the books I read to create my character. Then there is the novice path, which is the adventure journey that happens in the beginning of the readathon. These are the books I read for the novice path, along with the map of the novice path here. Then we have my house in the readathon, which is the house of the arcane. And after that, there is a conduit, kind of like a weapon for the character. And these are the books I read for each of the conduits. And these ones are for the legacy, which is like the special magical item your character get to choose for themselves. Here I had a guild tier section. This is a system that tracks the points you got throughout the year, but this is from an old system. It doesn't exist anymore, which is why I haven't filled it in. The guild points are basically the points you earn during the readathon, but the tracking system has changed now. I have a new way of tracking them in my current reading journal, so this page I haven't used at all. It's part of the old tracking system and it is not relevant anymore. Then I wrote a small section to introduce my character, Alara Evrin. This is my character. After that, I have my Adventure in Elia section, which is also a part of the Magical Readathon. This readathon has different types of reading challenges. There is a spring semester during April and autumn semester during September, where you do full month reading challenges. Then there is this Adventure in Elia, which is year-long challenge, where you read one book per month. There are also a lot of side quests and other supplementary challenges, and you can pick and choose what you want to participate in. I'm only doing Adventure in Elia and the regular spring and autumn equinox semesters this year. And these are my pages for Adventure in Elia, updated up to September. And now we are finally moving on to my monthly pages. So this is my monthly reading wrap-up for January. This is the cover page here and my reading progress in the calendar here. These are the books I read during January. Here is a list of all the books with author, format and rating. And here we have book covers with the rating stickers with them. Then we have my monthly reading stats. Some general information like genre, rating, format, pages, fiction, non-fiction and so on. So this is my standard monthly reading wrap-up for each month, these 3 spreads. As you can see, I tried to keep the same theme across these 3 spreads. That's what I usually do for every month. I pick a theme and stick with that for the wrap-up part. Once I'm done with it, I'm done with that theme also. So from the next page onwards, I'll have my individual book reviews for each book. And for those, I just go with whatever suits the book cover or the theme of the book. It depends on what I want to do and what stationery I have at the time. So here are the book review pages for all the books I read in January. The first book was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Kamas. I read a full 2-page spread for that one. Then we have Illumine by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff and Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden. Both got a single-page review each. Then Iona Iverson's Rule for Commuting by Claire Poley. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Jolie Smith. Next we have 100 by Megan Spooner. A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. And The House on Whisper Sand by Parek O'Donnell. And that's all for the books I read in January. Here we have February. This is the cover page with my reading progress tracker and calendar. I read a total of 10 books in February. These are the books I read with their ratings and the list with the order, format, and ratings. And here is my monthly stats page for February. Now for the book review spread, we have Call of the Wild by Jack London, The Maid by Nida Prose, and Babel by R.F. Kwang. This one is one of my favorite spread I did this year and also one of my favorite books I read this year so far. And then we have Atomic Habits by James Clear, Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. This was my first read from this author. I have seen some of her other books praised a lot on social media. I don't know what the reception for this particular one is, but I didn't enjoy it much, as you can see. Still, I often see some of my favorite creators talking about her Raven Boy series, and a lot of people seem to love that one. So I'm a bit hesitant to pick it up because this one really disappointed me. But I'm also curious since so many people are recommending it. Next, we have Salvation of a Saint by Kiko Higashino. This is a Japanese book translated into English. It's part of a series called Detective Galileo. I read the first book last year, and this is the second book which I read this year. I really like this series and I'm looking forward to reading more from this. Then I have The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe and Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is the second book in the Illuminae File series. I read the first one back in January. Then I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I am really late to the party. I think everyone has already read this book. I have read Akotar, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of those books. I don't dislike them, but I don't love them either. I just think they are okay. So I was a bit hesitant to start Throne of Glass because of that. But I was also curious, everyone talks about it and I wanted to know what the books were about. So I finally picked it up this year and so far it has not disappointed me. I haven't made much progress yet since I had just started the first book in February, and now while recording this in October, I am only on the third book. But so far I'm pleasantly surprised and really enjoying the series. Then I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown, the first book in the Red Rising saga. And that's it for the February books. Moving on to March. I love this cover page. It is one of my favorite ones I have done. Here is my reading progress calendar. The books I read during the month, and my monthly reading stats. Now for the book review spreads, starting with The Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, the second book in the Red Rising saga. Then And the Mountains Accord by Khaled Hosseini. I love this book. I really like this author. His writing is very heartwarming and the stories he chooses to tell are always really touching. Then we have The Thousand Crimes of Mingsu by Tom Lin and The Perfect Son by Freda McFadden. Then I started Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I didn't realize this was part of a series when I picked it up, but I have read the second book in the series by now. Then I reread Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, but I didn't bother doing a full spread for that one because, well, it's Harry Potter. I have reread the book multiple times. Here we have Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, the third book in the Illumine File series. Then Morgan is My Name by Sophie Keach. And that's it for all the books I read in March. Moving on to April, this is the cover page and the reading progress tracker. I read a total of 12 books in April, which is quite a lot for me. My usual average is around like 8 to 9 books per month. So this was definitely more than usual. That's mostly because April is the spring equinox in Magical Readathon. So most of these books were part of that. Here are my reading stats for April. Now here I have a few pages dedicated to the spring equinox for the Magical Readathon. Just a small cover page with my scholar key, which is like an identity card for the character. And these are my callings. Callings are basically like jobs or degrees you get from studying at the academy. Usually a character can choose one calling, but if you want, you can pick multiple callings. I chose 2 callings, Archmage and Lexomancer. So each one requires certain subject to be studied during the spring and autumn equinox. And based on those subjects and the syllabus given here, you have to pick the books. For example, for Archmage, in the spring equinox, I had to study alchemy, and the prompt for alchemy was a book with the title written in all capital letters. So I had to pick a book that fit that. Just like that, I had to read books matching specific prompt for the other subjects as well. Same goes for Lexomancer. It also has its own sets of subjects for the semester. So these are the books I read for each different subjects. They're mostly the same books you see in my April reading stats. Here I also dedicated some space for supplementary callings. These are the extra side challenges apart from your main calling. You can take them to earn additional certifications. I chose Dragon Riding License and Sandship Engineering certification, but I haven't done anything for these yet. You're supposed to read a couple of books and complete some tasks to fulfill the criteria. It's written here, but I haven't gotten around to do it. And honestly, I don't think I'll manage to do it this year. If I get some time later, maybe, but probably not. So these were my pages for the spring equinox. Moving on to the book review spreads for all the books I read in April. Starting with 20 Years Later by Charlie Donnelly and Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Eli Cosimano. Then we have Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the second book in the series. I read the first one last month. Then An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helen Thurston and The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is another popular book that I wasn't really happy with. It's quite famous on social media, so I had very high hopes, but unfortunately I didn't really enjoy it. I was planning to read the whole series initially, but luckily I only bought the first book because I'm not planning to continue this series. Next is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is the first book in the Regency fairy tales, and I really liked this one. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, but I really did like it, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. Then we have The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzat. This is obviously a classic and everyone has read it, but somehow I hadn't until now. I finally read it and I'm really glad I did. I absolutely love this book and gave it a 5 stars. Then A Ballad of Love and Glory by Reina Grande and The Happy Family by Jackie Kabler. Next is The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. This one was kind of special to me. I like the book. It's not one of my top favorites or anything, but I did enjoy it. But it felt special because the story is set in a small town in Kerala, India, which is where I'm from. So it really reminded me of the books I grew up reading. So I was really happy to read it for that reason. I gave this one a 4 stars. So I enjoyed it, but it's not an overall favorite. Then we have Gallon by V.E. Schwab. This is another author I'm really interested in. I have read a few of her books before and I'm looking forward to more. Then The Beekeeper of Aleppo by Christy Leftery. This was another favorite of the year, and that's it for the books I read in April. Moving on to May. This is my cover page and reading progress tracker with the calendar. These are the books I read in May. I only read 6 books, which isn't a small number, but it is less than my usual average, and that was on purpose. After April, with the magical readathon and 12 books in 1 month, I was feeling a bit burned out, so I decided to slow down on purpose. So from May to August, I read only about 4 to 6 books per month, and I really enjoyed that slower pace. Then I picked it back up in September for the autumn equinox in the magical readathon and had a great time with it. But overall, from May to August were slow reading months on purpose, and I really enjoyed it. So here are my monthly stats for May. Moving on to the individual book spreads. First, I read Anxious People by Frederick Backman, which I absolutely loved, another favorite of the year. Then Morning Star by Pierce Brown, the third book in the Red Rising saga. Here we have The Turnout by Megan Abbott. Next, The Man in the Brown Suit by Agatha Christie. This was my first Agatha Christie book of this year. If you noticed, in my author backlist, I have Agatha Christie there. It's kind of my long-term goal to read every book by her, and I'm about halfway there right now. This was my first Christie read of this year, and between May and October, I read 2 or 3 more of her books. Every year, I try to read at least 3 or 4 of her books. So it's going to take me quite a while to complete all of them, but I'm in no rush. I'm really enjoying the process. Then I read 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. And finally, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, the first book in the Miss Bond trilogy. This was another favorite spread of mine, and I absolutely love the book too. I have been wanting to start this series for a long time. I actually bought the whole trilogy last year, but I hadn't picked it up until recently because I was really intimidated by the book. But I finally started it in May and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm not rushing it though, I'm taking my time reading 1 book per month. And the books are pretty big, so they take time to finish, and I have been taking breaks between each book as well. So right now, while recording this in October, I'm reading the 3rd book. So this is my spread for Final Empire, and I really love how it turned out. I'm looking forward to finishing this series. There are a lot of other books in this universe, the Cosmere, and from what I have read online, everyone says the Stormlight Archive is the best. I have only just started Miss Bond, but I have a reading order I found online, and according to that, after finishing Miss Bond, I'm planning to read Elantris. And after that, I think I can start Stormlight Archive. Now that I have started the series and I'm really enjoying it, I have really high hopes for Stormlight Archive. I really hope it lives up to the expectations. So that was my last spread for May, and also the last page I did in this journal. As you can see, I only have about 2 pages left. So I have completely filled this journal. That's something that always makes me happy, to finish a journal. And that's it for my flip through of my first reading journal for 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and check out my channel for more journaling content. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.